We are now live, and I'm so glad I upgraded my internet.
Hmm.
Uh, Welcome to Fanning Out. And can I just say, in the bottom right of yours, can you see the name of the episode and how many viewers we have, or is that just me?
Just you.
Okay. Uh, Time travel. We were going to do superheroes, but we went back in time and convinced ourselves to do time travel instead. So, your earliest memories of time travel?
Oh wow. I guess the earliest memories I have of time travel was I was about 8 years old, and PBS, the public broadcasting station,
Mm.
they used to do every Saturday they'd show an old movie, and I woke up late one night, and it was H.G. Wells' The Time Machine from
Mm.
the 1950s Time Machine movie. I sat down, I watched the entire thing, and I thought it was the coolest movie ever.
Mm.
The guy got in this rocket, this like cool looking machine, and basically rocketed himself back to back into the future. And I thought that was just so cool. And then when I was a little older, I found the movie on VHS, watched it all the way through, and I thought it was wonderful. I read the book. The book was very different, but still quite good, and kind of got me interested in time travel. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
Where do you feel that it went from there?
Um, from there, from there, it took a sideways turn because of at the same time PBS was airing that. The PBS also got old BBC shows
Mm.
as well,
Yep.
so they would air different programs. One that I saw, not Doctor Who.
Mm.
What I saw was the 1980s six-part miniseries of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Uh,
And so I saw that, and that had time travel at the very end of the last
yeah.
episode,
Oh.
where they got catapulted into the future,
Mhm.
only to catapulted to the Earth's past, which
Mhm.
was interesting. But from there, I definitely say it was probably Back to the Future.
Mhm. Mhm. But here's the
All
thing, though.
mhm.
You gonna say something?
No,
Oh, I was just gonna say about Back to the Future. It has time travel as a plot device, but other than that, it's not really about time travel.
right.
It's just an adventure movie that has time travel in it.
I guess. I mean, there are a handful of movies where time travel is the central premise.
Uh-huh.
Um, or is part of the central story element. Uh, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Well, if
But
really boil that down.
yeah, because they didn't really. There was a lot of stuff they showed without showing, like getting the
Hmm.
keys, the stuff that you assumed that happened after the end of the movie was closed when he went and got his own dad's keys and put them there so he could get in to get themselves out or whatever happened,
Right.
to get the historical figures out of jail because they were running amok in the shopping center.
Right.
And there was a movie I mentioned a few weeks ago called Primer.
Yeah, Primer is one of them that I know has to deal with time travel and the creation. Yeah, I've only seen
Yeah.
bits and pieces of Primer, but
Yeah. Oh, you should sit down and watch it. It's the only movie I've ever seen that I thought this would be easier to follow if it was a book.
yeah, that's what I've heard.
Mm.
Um, what was the name of that? There's another movie I'm thinking of, not Looper. Looper has to deal with time travel,
Mm.
which I did think. I mean, I personally liked Looper. I liked the premise of it that essentially you had these in the future time travel is controlled by a very wealthy and powerful group of people,
Yeah.
and basically how they use it in order to close accounts.
Hmm.
I thought that was very clever, especially the one scene that I thought was probably the most clever use of time travel I've ever seen
Hmm.
was where the one guy travels back into the past and he escapes.
Yeah.
So they capture his past self and they start torturing him.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I've always actually, for the first time I saw time, like people like, oh, going into the future and whatnot. I was just like, okay, that's interesting, but what happens if you or go into the past? What happens if you kill a certain person? You're gonna like
Yeah.
really screw up the timeline. And how they basically use that same principle of, hey, we need to catch you in your future self because he owes us a lot of money. So we're basically just going to use you and cut you up so that way you basically have no choice.
Yeah, but
So,
that was very paradoxical. Have you
mm-hmm.
seen Everything Wrong with Looper?
And I
That pretty
have
much
not.
that pretty much addresses all the problems I had.
Mm.
Um, for me, time travel. I don't want to say it was Doctor Who because Doctor Who really only uses time travel to get from the end of one story in one part of the universe to the beginning of another story in another point in time and space. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say my first main time travel thing would have the one that stands out would been Back to the Future, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there were like some kids' cartoons that would have dealt with it earlier than that or something. Not from memory, but yeah, I'd say Back to the Future would be the main one. Then I enjoy some time travel films more than others. Primer is very not a blockbuster typical type of movie. Oh,
Right.
Have you seen Hot Tub Time Machine?
No, I kind of did not want to see it because it didn't appeal to me.
I only caught it by accident because it was the movie on telly, and I thought, you know what, it's on, I might as well. There's nothing else on. And some very
Mm-hmm.
nice homages to Back to the Future
Hmm.
in that film. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's a comedy, sort of, yeah, comedy take on the Back to the Future thing. It wasn't bad. I
Hmm.
feel like I've run out of things to say. What else can I say?
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, I have read actually a couple of short stories and part of a novel about time travel,
mhm.
and that was the short story I read was "A Sound of Thunder,"
Yep.
which is by in my opinion, the greatest sci-fi author there's ever been, Ray Bradbury, who basically wrote that these people use time travel as vacations,
Yep.
where they go back in time to basically watch dinosaurs, to hunt dinosaurs that are about to die, thus
Hmm.
keeping time perfectly linear.
Yep.
And the short story is only like 4 pages long.
Mm. Yep. I've
And
read it.
yeah, yeah, and basically how a guy steps on a butterfly. And
Mm.
just because you don't understand, you've basically screwed time. Time is bent. There is no way we're ever going to
Hmm.
repair this.
Yeah.
And they're just like, dude, it'll be fine.
Hmm.
And how basically it all got. He went back into the future. The words were spelled differently,
Yeah. I
and
remember
all
that.
those little things. And then essentially, all you hear is the guy cocking his gun, and
Yeah.
then suddenly, and then it just says there in the distance there was a sound of thunder.
Yeah. I
I was
remember
like,
that.
mm-hmm. Because all I could think is, yeah, he did.
Hmm.
They made a really shitty movie about it, based off of it.
Oh, I've seen that. That was the movie that inspired me to read the short story. The short story
Yeah,
was a lot
same
better.
here. Yeah, short story was phenomenally better. Um,
But the
mm-hmm,
movie just became just a dumb survival horror film. It started okay.
mm-hmm. Well, it starred Ben. I'll do anything for a paycheck, Kingsley. So
I believe Nicolas Cage is also the same, is he not?
Yeah. Then again, he does give me a reason to watch the Left Behind movie that's coming out.
Oh, if that's what it's called.
Yeah. Because it's
Does it
basically it's about
does
the
it involve
rapture.
time? So it's
No,
not about time travel.
no, it's about the rapture. Uh, does the name Kirk Cameron ring a bell?
Yes.
Yeah, Kirk Cameron.
Oh, he was an atheist and he became super Christian.
Yeah, he became super Christian to the point where he actually said one of my favorite things, and this is a complete and total tangent from time travel, but he
Yeah.
basically got on national TV, which of course it was Fox because it's Fox.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
He basically got on and told them that essentially if Darwin was right, there would have been a crocoduck, a mixture
Yeah.
between a crocodile and a duck, the branching of the two species. And not but 3 months after that broadcast, scientists pulled up all these photographs, and they said all these photographs, drawings, fossil records. They said, Mr. Cameron, this is a crocoduck.
Yeah.
We have proof of everything you're saying, and basically said you're a dumbass. Which was I applauded because. In fact, I tried to watch. I was actually watching his video explaining why Darwin was wrong, and it crashed my computer. I like to believe that my computer could not handle the metric ton of stupid that was being broadcast. But back to time travel. So let's see. We're on Sound of Thunder. There is another movie I saw that had to deal with time travel, and time travel was just a plot device to get characters from A to B, and that
Yeah.
was Timeline.
I haven't seen it.
Timeline is this really weird movie based off of a much better novel by the late Michael Crichton, who, if the name rings a bell, it's because he's also the author of Jurassic Park, Lost World, Prey, the very very excellent Next.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a big reader.
Mm-hmm.
I've just looked up time travel movies. Going through because Google does this thing where it's movies frequently mentioned on the web about time, and I've got all these movie covers in front of me. Back to the Future.
Donnie Darko.
Yeah, oh, you've done the same thing?
Yep. I've seen Donnie Darko.
Yeah, I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I've seen About Time. I've seen. Oh, what did you think of the Butterfly Effect?
Butterfly Effect I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was okay. It wasn't the greatest movie ever. A lot of people like, oh my god, it's fantastic. I thought it was just okay. I mean, I'm glad I've seen it because now I understand why everyone talks about it.
Yeah. Oh, what movie was that? I've forgotten what movie I asked about.
The Butterfly Effect.
Oh, I thought that was actually kind of depressing, and they made a sequel with different actors, obviously.
Don't trust direct-to-video.
Yeah. I have not seen one... Three. Wait, 1, 2... Yeah, I've seen basically all of these. I haven't seen
I have only seen parts of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I've seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure all the way through.
Oh. That didn't really have time travel in it, though.
It did at the very, very end, and the time travel that was in it was actually kind of funny. That essentially they actually did address the
Mm-hmm.
They did address the whole idea of Well, if you had time travel, wouldn't you be able to use it in order to get out of the situation? Like, haha, I went into the future, and I gave myself the keys to the jail cell. Well, I gave myself a gun. I took away your ammo. And there's an entire final, like, the whole final climax of the movie is just them talking about all the stuff they did using the time machine in order to try and screw the other person over.
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
vaguely remember that. I preferred the first one. Yeah, I have not seen the final countdown. I have not seen At About Time. So on that first list that comes up, you have to watch the movie FAQ About Time Travel. It is a British movie
Mm-hmm.
inspired by and parodying all the types of movies that we're talking about and all the movies on this list.
I have seen. Mm-hmm.
Some of it.
Mm-hmm. No, I haven't seen it, but.
No. All I knew going into it was about three guys in a pub talking about time travel. I knew nothing else going in. And after I'd seen it, I thought that was a brilliant homage to time travel movies and science fiction everywhere. So, go.
Mm-hmm. I have seen Time Bandits.
Oh, is that a Terry Gilliam film?
Yes.
I think I saw that a long time ago. It wasn't my cup of tea.
It was weird. The ending was really weird. Terminator 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you ask me, 3 never happened.
Okay. What about 4? Salvation.
I
think they're working on a new one now, are they not?
Yeah, I'll probably go see it because I like Terminator. Terminator was one of my favorite movies growing up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it had killer robots and had time travel. It was
the perfect movie.
It was the perfect movie for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. How? So yeah. I think I saw it when I was much younger than that, to the point where I couldn't quite comprehend it. So
but time travel movies. Oh, what was that? Oh yeah, I could actually bring that up. Have you seen the remake of The Time Machine?
Yes, I saw it at the cinema.
What'd you think?
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was as bad as the critics made it out to be.
I thought it was okay as well. Watching it again when I was a few years after the fact, I was like, wow, I missed the George Pal version. Just because it lacked a certain human quality that the original had.
Mm-hmm.
That there was, like, I don't know, it just felt... The time travel worked a lot better in the original.
Mm.
Because I felt it worked. I felt the time travel worked better.
In what regards?
Well, someone pointed this out, that essentially the only reason why he used the time machine in the first place was to go back and save his wife.
Yeah.
Or the woman he loved. Whereas in the original, and it was more true to the story, was that he was actually just curious. Could someone travel in time?
Yep.
And he was just like, oh, well. And they told him, like, oh, George, you're just being silly. Why are you obsessed with the time machine? Why are you so obsessed with this? Well, aren't you? Shouldn't you be interested in something? No. Why would this be interesting to you? And I thought it was just very interesting. And it was a lot more appealing, I thought, and also it didn't turn the movie into an action movie.
Mm-hmm.
It felt true. It felt a lot better.
Movies these days they need to have a reason for something to happen, like, going back to save his wife. Apparently it's unacceptable to just do it, just because. But plenty of people do things just because.
Yeah. He did it for this simple reason. Science, damn it! which I thought was a
That's
lot better because, yeah, just like I'm going to do this for science.
Ooh, this is a
So,
harsh one. You know, I can't believe it's not butter. This has nothing to do with
yeah,
time travel. Just a post I came across on Facebook.
yep.
It's a picture of, and this is very insensitive to World War II survivors. It's a picture
Mhm.
of a tub of I can't believe it's not butter, with Australia's Prime Minister Tony Abbott, and I can't believe it's not Hitler.
We don't get. We do get that creative over here. We do get that creative about Obama, except most of those posts have to do with the fact that he's African American,
Mm-hmm. He's
and
a
it gets
Muslim,
really
is he not?
no.
Oh, okay.
Everyone assumes that he is because his middle name's Hussein,
Oh, okay.
but he's not because actually, if I remember correctly, Hussein is actually a holy name,
Ah.
and that essentially he came from a religious background, and so everyone's just like, "Oh my God, his middle name's Hussein. We've given the country over to the terrorists," and I'm just like,
Okay.
just no.
Right. Also, I believe he's half white. Or is
Yes,
that...
his no, he is yes, yeah,
He
born
is
in
half
Hawaii.
white. Yeah.
Yeah,
Speaking of
born in
time travel,
Hawaii.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, Hawaii is the US, so
Yes.
um, Star Wars. Apparently, they were looking before George Lucas sold out. They were looking at making a live-action TV series, which will probably never happen now.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, one of the stories involves time travel and a group of rebels going back in time to try and stop Darth Vader from ever happening.
Hmm.
But I
That
don't
could have
think
been interesting.
it could have been, but I don't think time travel really fits in with the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it doesn't really because Star Wars feels like a universe where time travel would be more of an accidental thing. Like a guy
Yeah,
gets, yeah, like a freak
or
accident.
a wormhole or something, or a space anomaly.
Mhm. Oh, speaking of wormholes,
Mm.
you know one TV series that loved its time travel?
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Mm.
Which the time travel episodes of Star Trek were kind of cringeworthy.
Yes, they are.
The
What do you think of
parallel.
the movie, the Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home?
I have to. Okay. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home never happened. There was never a Star Trek 4. It goes 2, 3, 5. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, 5. 5 was the. That
What
was.
does God need with a starship? Yes.
Uh,
I don't
as
like.
far as I'm concerned, 5 never happened. I mean, ever. 6 I
I
thought was brilliant. The Undiscovered Country.
I couldn't grasp my head or wrap my head around the concept of a giant ship shows up out of
Mhm.
nowhere, undetected by all the Federation's complex systems,
Mhm.
only for it to show up and communicate solely using
Whale sounds.
whale sounds. And that we couldn't just fabricate the whale sounds. We had to make sure they were legitimate. Which I was just like, so you're telling me that in this future we've killed all the whales,
Mhm.
but we've
Yeah.
somehow been able to create the warp drive, become peaceful with the Klingons, basically create peace with the Vulcan, with not only Vulcans who, well, that was easy, with the Romulans,
Mhm.
but we killed all the whales? Really? And I'm just like, I was just like,
Also, it would stand to reason if they do have all this technology that they would have whale somewhere. I mean, they're trying to do it now. Translate animal talk into English so we can communicate back with them in the 25th
exactly.
century. They would have probably had a translator. I mean, boop, boop. They have it for all of the
Hmm.
humanoid races. Why not for whales?
Yeah.
I never even thought of it, but it wasn't. It was an entertaining movie just for the entertainment's sake.
I watched for like the first 10 minutes, and then as soon as they said the whales, I just went, "What?"
So you didn't like the Wrath of Khan?
Oh, I love the Wrath of Khan.
Well,
Wrath of Khan is
two.
fantastic.
Mm.
I know. I said 2, 3, and then 4 never happened. I said 2 and 3 happened. 2 and
I thought
3
you
are
said,
great.
I'm sure you said 1, 3, and 5.
No, I said 2, 3, and 5.
Oh, okay.
I saw most of 5 on TV, so it was heavily edited.
Mhm.
But I still liked it because I thought the concept was a bit more interesting than just we have to go back in time to find the whales.
Have you seen the Nostalgia Critics review of 5?
Yeah. I love my favorite part of the review is just like, and now Kirk finally asked the logical question. What does God need with a starship? Bing!
Yes, I saw it at the cinema. Me and my sister were literally the only two people in the cinema. That's how popular that movie was. And then
I
when
went and saw
6,
Nemesis.
yeah,
I went and
6
saw Nemesis
came
in
out.
the theater.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we. Keep going. You went and saw Nemesis. That was technically
Yeah,
number
that one
10.
was. Yeah, 10. It was the one that supposedly broke the all the even numbered Star Treks are good. It supposedly
Yes.
broke that.
Yep.
So
I didn't like that at all. That sort of killed the Star Trek franchise. And that was the last one, was it not, until the reboot?
yep.
But speaking of time travel, I liked how they used time travel to reboot. So it's still
Hmm.
technically the same universe.
Yes, except that there's actually a sentence
Hmm.
in the reboot that justifies why the movie's happening.
Yeah,
It goes by really quick, but it justifies why it's there.
yeah,
When Kirk, when they're explaining what Nero did
yeah,
and how essentially Uhura says an alternate timeline. Yes,
yeah.
because of Nero's introduction into the past, it changed the events of the future. And all I could say was, they just justified the existence of this movie
Yeah.
in 3 minutes. And yet
Yeah.
people were still angry at its existence.
I think some people are angry at its existence because it used time travel as a reboot, so it's not a separate universe.
Yeah.
Because they'd probably be less angry at it if it was, you still got classic Star Trek over here,
Yeah.
and then you reboot Star Trek over here.
Yeah. I mean, some elements work. Star Trek Into Darkness, for the most part, works for me.
Mm.
Except for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
When they have to restart the reactor, literally sitting in the theater, I'm sitting in the theater just like, wow, this has been entertaining so far, and it's like, we have to restart the reactor, sir. I'm like, I've seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what was that? I'm just like, what was that movie called? It was an even-numbered Star Trek movie. It involved somebody going into the reactor core, sacrificing themselves so the ship could escape from basically being destroyed. And I'm like, oh wait, this is Wrath of Khan.
Oh, right. So that's for you when it clicked?
For me, really, because it clicked for me when I'm just like, they're just ripping off Wrath of Khan at this point. Because the rest of it up to then I thought was pretty interesting, fairly unique. Granted, there's probably a lot of people that disagree with that statement and probably want to stab me with a pitchfork, but it was fairly unique. And then the final moment that broke the film for me was when Spock yelled Khan.
Oh, you didn't like that part?
No.
Why not? You wanted Kirk to yell it?
It didn't fit for it
his
didn't.
character.
I never felt that Spock and Kirk were close enough friends to warrant that kind of moment, because throughout the entire movie, the whole subplot of that movie is how Spock was an ass for
Yeah.
reporting Kirk. And also, I had a few problems with the movie, but I still really liked it. And one of the other problems was when Kirk got in trouble for disobeying the Prime Directive. To
Early
which,
in the film.
yeah, to which I kindly bring this up. When did James Tiberius Kirk ever obey the Prime Directive?
Yeah, but you got to understand, this is the reboot. So
Yeah.
it's a whole new audience. But I remember when the movie first came out, I had
Mhm.
so many of my female friends were posting memes about the Kirk Spock bromance,
Oh, God.
and that these are girls who are new to the whole Star Trek franchise. They probably never
Yeah.
saw the old one
Mm-hmm.
in the first place. Someone replied to
Yeah.
my invitation. She's just asking what it's all about, and now she's offline. So
Eh.
I wish these Facebook things would align themselves by web, mobile.
Yeah, they used to do that. I think it's part of an update. Oh, but to kind of bring
Yeah,
this back around to time
yeah,
travel.
yeah. Oh, well, Star Trek was still time travel. There was time
Oh yeah,
travel. Yeah,
several episodes. The most applauded Star Trek episode of all time, City on the Edge of Forever,
yeah. Which is
which yeah,
take
which
me through
is one
that
of
episode
those.
because I'll remember it
I've
when you
never
tell
actually
me.
seen it.
Oh, hang on. What was it called?
City on the Edge of Forever,
Apparently,
also
there's a
known
South
as
Park.
also known as the episode that Harlan Ellison wrote. Also known as
Mhm.
the episode that he damn near sued Gene Roddenberry over because Roddenberry changed the final script.
A lot or a bit?
A fair amount, because Roddenberry didn't like the way it ended, so he kind of tweaked things.
Uh, I'm looking at these shots here on the internet. I'm not sure I've seen this episode. I thought I'd seen or the vast majority of the old series anyway. I've even seen the pilot episode where Kirk is a different person.
It's not Kirk.
Yeah. Oh, it's a different character.
I've seen the pilot. I've
Yeah.
actually seen the pilot, the original pilot episode.
Yeah.
The captain of the Enterprise is Captain Christopher Pike.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, doesn't he come back later?
Yes, because he was in his starship was in essentially there was a malfunction in the starship, and he stayed to basically ensure that the crew survived.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, and he basically got horribly, horribly disfigured. And so they
Yeah.
were actually taking him to a planet
Hmm.
inhabited by these creatures that had such mental psychic powers that they could actually change reality as you perceived it. And Spock was basically taking him back to that planet so that way Pike could actually live out his final years
Hmm.
being able to be free, technically.
I vaguely remember that episode.
Yeah. It was kind of a hard one to watch, at least like the
Mhm.
first half, because you basically actually intercut bits and pieces of the original pilot into it, and they're just like, "How do you have this footage?" Oh, we had cameras in the wall or something, and I'm just like, "Uh huh." Actually,
Right. Yeah.
you want to know why the original pilot never took off?
Why?
CBS said it was too intellectual.
Oh.
Gene
Did they have to,
Roddenberry approached.
yeah, did they have to dumb it down?
Yes.
Oh.
CBS approached Roddenberry because Roddenberry had worked on. He was a producer, and he said he had come up with an idea for a sci-fi TV show, which would be kind of which would basically. And they said, "Well, we have sci-fi shows already. There's these like they list off a couple," and he goes, "Nah, this will be different.
Mm-hmm.
This will be like Wagon Train, which was a huge Western show at the time, but set in space.
Oh, okay.
And CBS understood what a cash cow Wagon Train had been.
Right.
Or was it a TV series? Or was it a film? TV show, Wagon Train. Yeah, it ran from. It basically had started. It was on NBC.
Yeah.
And it ran for a total of 8 seasons at 284 episodes.
Yep.
And it was huge, hugely popular. And CBS was just like, all right, we're actually going to get a series that we can use.
Yeah.
And basically, it will be our cash cow. Well, they presented it to him, and they're just like, this is our show. Because this will be our show. And he's just like, yes. Well, he produced the pilot. They made the pilot. And people were like, all right, this will be great. And they're just like, they watched the pilot, and they're just like, this is too intelligent. Like, there was too much dialogue. Because the original pilot, there features a scene where literally Pike goes to see his the ship doctor, who isn't Bones. The only character that they kept was Spock.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also, number 1, the first officer, was played by a woman. The show actually featured a female commanding officer. 30 years before Voyager ever did anything like that.
Yep.
So what happened was they watched the pilot, and it featured this great scene where Pike has just got through, and they actually kind of give this hint that he was actually in a battle or something. And he says, look, I just want to talk. And he goes to see the doctor, and he's like, I need to talk to you about this. And he goes, well, sit down. And he goes, well, as your physician, I'd tell you need a few days of leave and all that. And he goes, but as your friend, and you see him doing something like he pulls out a couple of vials and stuff like a ship doctor, and he hands him a glass, and he just goes, but as your friend, you need to sit down and just have a drink with me. Let's just talk. And it was this really great scene about these. Basically, the ship's doctor was also old. He was like in his 60s. He was this older guy. So you get the idea that this was someone that Pike had probably worked with for a long time, sort of saw Pike rise up through the ranks of officers. And it was a really great little moment of just these two guys who you could clearly tell were friends, because when he hands him the glass, Pike gives this little smirk.
Mm.
And they sit there and they laugh and they joke, and it was really good. And CBS said it was too intelligent for the average viewer.
Still talking about time travel and completely going away from Star Trek.
Yeah.
And going back to what this week's topic was going to be, superheroes. Yeah. How do you feel about Superman's time travel in the first film where he spun around the Earth and rewound time?
I've actually never seen Superman, the motion picture.
Oh, really?
That being said, I think that scene's pretty goofy.
Yeah, it's the one. It's like my least favorite thing about that film. Also, how it should have ended did a fantastic job. Like the second Lex Luthor goes, I've got 2 missiles, one here and one here. Superman should have just gone and off straight off, but no, Superman has to sit there and listen to Lex's elaborate plan. Was I think?
Yeah, and he just disappears. And he's just like, "Where'd he go? You mean these 2 missiles? Oh my god!"
Yes, that is how it should have gone. I never understood. Like, Superman, why are you just standing there? Those missiles are on their way. If you'd done it, yeah, it's like, yeah.
There actually was a.
There was another superhero time travel story in video games. Spider-Man Shattered No, wait, no, it wasn't Shattered Dimensions. It was the other game, Shattered Dimensions, where there was 4 different universes that crossed over.
Right.
But the other one, Spider-Man Time
Oh God, there's actually I just remembered a great episode of time travel.
Edge of Time, Spider-Man Edge of Time, where
Hmm.
I think it's Spider-Man 2099 goes back in time because someone from the future goes back to
Hmm.
create his empire in the past, so he has an even bigger empire in the future. And
Ah.
Spider-Man 2099 or something like that goes back, but the bad guy is successful, but because Spider-Man 2099 was stuck in the time travel, like in the point of time travel, he has all of his regular memories,
Hmm.
and he tries to get. And do you want to know the twist ending?
Sure.
The bad guy is Peter Parker.
Really?
Yes, you can watch all of the cutscenes on YouTube. Spider-Man: Edge of
Okay.
Time.
Hmm. I just remembered there's actually this really, really great. You remember the Teen Titans comic, or not comic? The Teen Titans animated show.
I remember it, but I never saw it.
It was really good. It was surprise. It had the right balance of humor and it had the right balance of humor and great storytelling.
Yeah.
That being said, they actually did an episode that had to do with time travel,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of the best time
Mm-hmm.
travel episodes.
Yeah.
It's called "How Long Is Forever."
Okay. Sometimes only just 1 second.
Mm-hmm. What was it Einstein said? Time is relative. If you sit on a hot stove, it could feel like an hour, but sitting on a park bench next to a pretty woman for an hour feels like 5 minutes.
Yes.
But so he basically Starfire follows this villain into the future because according to him, he said it was written in the future that this artifact was stolen, so I came back in time to steal it.
Oh, okay.
And so he was to steal it. She follows him into the future, and basically, because of her absence, the Titans broke up. Cyborg is basically relegated to a. Basically, he lives in this really really depressed. He basically is like. Currently, he's basically a glorified mechanic, but basically he hides in the dark.
Yeah. Okay.
Teen Titan, Beast Boy is actually basically he's an attraction at a zoo. Raven went nuts. She basically became a godlike entity, but she couldn't cope with it. So she basically is locked inside of a room.
Yep. Who
And
who? So,
Starfire.
are we at the broken point in the timeline here?
Hmm?
Broken as in someone's come back and history has changed.
Yeah. By her going into the future, she changed the future.
Oh, I see.
And we've actually find out Robin became Nightwing, as he was meant to. But basically, the future's really bleak and everything. And they actually send her back, and they explain, and it's actually a really poignant episode. I only bring this up because Teen Titans Go, the follow-up series, which I've seen basically throughout the entire series, they hint at Starfire and Robin are an item. And me, as a teenager, seeing this, I was just like, yeah, Robin, Starfire, they're an item. Robin comes back from the future in the follow-up series,
Mm-hmm.
and he's married to Batgirl.
Right.
And it makes no goddamn sense.
They don't try and explain it away or anything?
Nope. Basically, the future is all hunky-dory. And all this, and I'm just like, and I mean, granted, it was granted there were a lot of issues with it. Basically, the show treats its audience like it's a bunch of morons.
Yep.
But yeah, Teen Titans: How Long Is Forever? Great episode of time. Basically, how time travel can be a really great thing, but at the same time, just really makes you really kind of.
Something I thought was dumb was Superman and Batman Public Enemies #1. I thought it was a bit childish. Don't know if there's any time travel in it. DC are doing a new thing that's not time travel. Crisis on the animated film was called Crisis on Two Earths, where Lex Luthor from an alternate universe came to the main DC universe and needed their help to get rid of their Justice League because they were basically bullying all of society into being the way they wanted society to be.
The Justice Knights or something.
Something like. And the Batman was the Owl.
Yeah. Well, that's more alternate universe, but I do know that Superman, actually, the animated series, had a time travel episode.
Mm-hmm.
Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Lois Lane gets zapped into the future, where it turns out Lex Luthor and Superman joined forces. And they basically live in a dark alternate future where basically Lex is like president of the world or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually explain why Superman went rogue. Because Lois disappeared.
Oh,
yeah. So he was basically just like...
That was a storyline to the video game Injustice, Gods Among Us.
Yeah, where the Joker blew up Metropolis.
Yeah, that's the one. I watched all of the cutscenes on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was like, why isn't this a movie? That they could easily just chop and change a bit here and there and release that straight to DVD as a as a movie easily.
Here's what I find. The DC movies, aside from Dark Knight, or Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises, all the DC movies just aren't very interesting or good. Man of Steel had moments.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and the internet can record it, so this will be forever.
Yeah.
When Pa Kent, Man of Steel, went to go save the dog from the tornado, I laughed. Because I'm just like, really? This is how you're going to die? Sucked up by a tornado. Wow. You had this coming.
Yeah. Whereas in the original film,
he had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack, which reveals to Clark that he's not all powerful. He's all physically powerful, but he can't stop someone from dying. Me with all these powers, what can I do? Whereas a tornado whirlwind, he could as easily have dealt with that.
Yeah. He moved so fast, he could have grabbed the dog and come back.
And no one would have noticed.
Yep. Not a damn thing would have changed. But, the DC movies that are straight to DVD, that are animated, they're fantastic!
They are pretty
Under the Red Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Under the Red Hood, that was great.
Maybe their animated creative team probably aren't under as much pressure as the live-action people.
Probably.
I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder as a director. Because here's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is Man of Steel, because everyone knows... Because it's not that Superman wouldn't kill someone, it's that he wouldn't snap someone's neck. He wouldn't kill them through that act.
Right.
My opinion is that movie, Man of Steel, in every situation, even like the truck at the cafe, none of that is what Superman would have done. All of that is what Zack Snyder would have done if he was Superman.
Now, Zack Snyder, to this date, has made only a few movies I've seen. He made Sucker Punch.
I haven't seen it and heard it wasn't that great.
We could do an entire episode on what's wrong with Sucker Punch.
Okay.
He did 300,
Yep. I couldn't get into
which
300.
there's too much historical stuff about 300 that I have to point out that ruins it for everyone.
Yeah. Yep.
Because when 300 came out, it was this gung ho thing of like, yeah, like powerful Spartans, like America. Like the comparison between America and the Spartans was like everyone was doing it. Like, yeah, Spartans are strong and powerful. Here's the thing:
Hmm.
Spartans were pederasts. It was not
What are
uncommon.
us?
Pederasts. It was not
Hmm.
uncommon in Spartan society that the Spartan soldiers, the older soldiers, would take on young proteges, young boys between the ages of about 9 and 13, and train them as personal apprentices. This
Hmm.
also included sexual favors that were mutual.
Ew.
So, in layman's terms, the Spartans actually had sex with children.
Yeah. Uh.
Yeah, so that movie, when I watch it, I'm just sitting there like, there's so many historical things about this that are just kind of uncomfortable.
Mhm. Didn't he
It
do a
also is. It's also one of
Yeah.
those things where the 300, the battle that they show in that movie,
Yeah.
not important to the entire Greco-Persian War. That entire battle could never have happened, and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Oh.
The whole
Oh. It,
battle was not significant. It was just a blip on the radar, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" It was like 300 to against a million people. It was 300 against all these people. Actually, no. It was more like 72,000 Persian soldiers against 20,000 Greek soldiers, of which the Spartans contributed 300 and the Athenians contributed more than half the force. Why? Because the Athenians gave a damn.
right. You seem quite passionate on this topic.
I'm very passionate because people are like, oh, the Athenians, blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. The Athenians had democracy in Greece. The
Hmm.
Spartans had an oligarchy. The Spartans believed in dictatorship.
Oh.
There was an entire civil war fought over this. Because I read the history books, damn it.
Mm.
So that's another tangent for another day. But Zack Snyder, the other movie Zack Snyder, and this ties into the whole original superhero thing. He
Yeah.
directed the Watchmen movie.
He did. And Legends. That's another movie. It just, for me, it it just didn't quite hit the mark.
I had read the graphic novel,
Hmm.
which the graphic novel is a masterpiece of fiction.
Okay. And I've heard the movie is actually quite accurate.
It is, except for the ending, which I'm not going to say
Okay.
because I want you to find the comic book. It shouldn't be too expensive.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the comic book, the graphic novel, is so beautiful. Like there's actually a scene in that where there's like the scene where they try to have sex in front of the TV.
Yeah.
That is shot for shot like it appears in the comic.
Oh.
It made me laugh. I'm actually sitting there like, oh my god, this is just like I'm watching the live film version of the comic. I'm just like, oh my god, this is actually pretty awesome.
Hmm.
There is, however, one scene that was included not in the theatrical cut but in the director's cut
Hmm.
of the original Night Owl getting killed by a gang of thugs. And it is one of the most beautiful parts of the graphic novel, just because of how they intercut panels of him fighting the thugs as an old man with images of him as the original Night Owl from the 1940s beating the ever loving crap out of criminals. And in the director's cut, they show that scene. I'm like, oh god, it's going to be this scene. I'm just like, I don't know how they're going to do it. And you see the old Night Owl, the old man, stand up out of his chair, and you
Hmm.
see him do this, and you see him punch the first thug, and it flashes, and it shows him in his suit as a young man beating him, like hitting him, like beating someone, and I'm just like, yes, yes, they did it, and it's so beautiful. It was this beautiful, beautiful scene that was captured perfectly on film, and I
So
just feel that.
you would recommend the director's cut over the regular cut? But you're about to
Yes,
say You just feel that.
I just feel that Zack Snyder has lost his touch. He made Watchmen, which Watchmen to me was a great superhero movie
Hmm.
because it was so accurate to the comic book. There were literal scenes that were ripped straight from the comic.
Hmm.
And like there are times where I could pause the movie and basically hold up the graphic novel and go like this. That scene is that scene, and I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. It wasn't like something like, oh, we're going to adapt a book or whatever.
Hmm.
And it just reminded me of another time travel thing we can talk about.
Okay. Which is?
Um, I'll get to it in a second. And I just feel that Schneider's kind of lost his directorial touch.
Did he ever really have it to begin with? He did the remake of Dawn of the Dead. He did 300, because I've got him here in chronological order. Then he did Watchmen. Then he did Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Galhul, which is another movie that's like, I could see what you're going for, but you kind of just missed the mark. Just that little
Yeah.
bit. Then he did Sucker Punch, Man of Steel, 300, Rise of an Empire. And then... Batman, then Batman versus Superman, which is out in 2016.
Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Yep.
Worst movie title ever.
Yes. It's probably going to be a shit film too, with everyone they're trying to cram into it.
It's because the movie that they're going to do right after that
Is Justice League.
Justice League, which is going. I'm going to say this now. Justice League is going to tank. Why?
Mm.
Because we already have a Justice League movie. A movie that has comedy, wit, charm, and is just all around great. It's called The Avengers.
Yes, that's... See, DC's problem is they're trying to play catch-up super fast. They'd be better off just doing their own thing at their own pace.
Yeah.
And I don't
hire,
yeah, they should...
And hire a few more directors.
I almost think Justice League would be better as the movie adaptation of like 5 different TV shows.
Yeah.
So we've got Flash and the Arrow, so have a Wonder Woman TV show and then build it all up, and then boom. That's what I think.
But back to time travel.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh. With the necklace spinny thing.
Yep, the time turner.
Yeah. That's one of those modes of time travel, because there's the alternate time travel, then there's the time travel where it's fixed, like going back in time. It's just from a different perspective, but that stuff's happened already.
Yeah.
For example, when they were in the giant's place with the dog, there were rocks tapping on the window. They're like, we should leave. Then you find out later in the movie it was them throwing the rocks.
Yeah. At the same time, I read that book. I love the book.
Mm.
And since this is a forum for us to vent and say our feelings, I love the book. I actually read the Harry Potter and Azkaban so much, the spine of the book snapped in half.
Oh. So that was your favorite book in the series?
Yes, because it was so good. It had everything that I could ever hope for as a kid in a book. And especially Harry Potter, because I rode that Harry Potter bandwagon hard.
All the way to the 8th film?
All the way until I got into high school, and they were still making movies, because I was just, at that point, I was just like, I don't care anymore. I'll go see it, but at the same time, I'm like...
Because I was almost going to say, did you stop in high school because you were afraid of being made fun of?
Hell no.
No, yeah. So you just given up caring.
I just stopped caring because I had more important things to care about, like getting into college.
Fair enough.
Because there were people in high school that I knew there were girls in high school, there were guys in high school like, yeah, do you see a Harry Potter movie? Yeah, man, it was so cool. Like there were people reading the books in high school, and I was one of them. I read the last book in high school, and I thought the last book was damn fantastic. because I was reading it as an older reader because
Yeah.
because the themes in the seventh book made more sense to me. Well, then again, it came out when I was in high school too. So
Yeah.
that being stated, I despise the Prisoner of Azkaban movie
Ah, why?
because they took the book, chopped it up, and threw all these pieces in order.
Oh, okay. I think Harry Potter, given its scope, is better suited to a television series. That way you could fit in everything, rather than
Yeah,
just having to
because
force one whole book into 90 minutes.
they left out a lot, especially with Azkaban. Azkaban, okay, first movie, they left out like 3 scenes. I was okay with that. Second movie, they left out a little bit. It was made up for the fact that they had Gilderoy Lockhart.
Hmm.
Best casting decision I've ever seen made by a human being. Let's get Shakespearean actor Kenneth Branagh to play this jerk.
Hmm.
Brilliant. Prisoner of Azkaban. Harry did not, in fact, get the broom until the very end of the book. He actually got it halfway. It was a Christmas present.
Okay.
And McGonagall thought it was booby-trapped.
Yeah.
She actually, there was a part of the book where she kept the broom in her office because she was performing all of these all these spells to see if it was booby-trapped or not.
Yep.
Quidditch played a bigger role. There was a lot more to do with the Dementors and building them up as creatures.
Oh, right.
Yeah. There's just a lot more fleshing out of the minor details.
Speaking of time travel and superheroes and whatever,
Yep.
would you say that Super Mario is a superhero because of what he can jump incredibly high? He gets a mushroom and he grows twice his size. He gets a flower and he can shoot fire. Or do you think that's an effect of those items that would happen to anyone?
I'd say it's an
effect of the item.
Probably effect of the item because if he's a superhero, that means Luigi's a superhero.
Yeah.
And I know there are a lot of people that, Luigi. I think Luigi can get a bad rap. He's more like Mario's the super serious brother.
Yeah.
Whereas Luigi's more of the comedic relief.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever play Paper Mario?
I did not, unfortunately.
I'm just trying to think. Was there time travel in that?
There was a Mario game called Mario and Luigi.
Lost in Time.
Yeah, it was a time travel one where basically Bowser went back to stop them from becoming the Super Mario Brothers by basically kidnapping them as babies.
Yeah, that was like an RPG, like a kid-friendly RPG.
It was part of the same series of it was Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which was I've only played one of the games in the series, and it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The story was brilliant. The gameplay was perfect.
Yeah, you're sort of hard-pressed to find any game by Nintendo that's shit. Some aren't as good as others, but they're all playable games. But I just thought of a great Nintendo game with time travel, Zelda and the Ocarina of Time.
I'm going to reserve my judgment on The Legend of Zelda. What?
No. You must speak forth. You don't like it as that particular game or the franchise as a whole?
The franchise as a whole, I think, has problems. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much the same story, same villain, same lather, rinse, repeat. Mario's the same way.
Yeah.
Except they do get a little more innovative with Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had Super Mario Galaxy, Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Mario and Legend of the Sword. The original Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually had a Final Fantasy villain in it.
Yes, and
but
there's a sports game you can get on the Wii, Mario Sports Mix, and I think it's hockey, soccer, and volleyball. That has unlockable Final Fantasy characters in it.
Interesting.
Anyway, getting back to time travel, because I don't know if you know the fans are complaining about what's the Zelda timeline.
Oh yeah, the Zelda timeline's the most screwed up timeline. I've actually seen people try to explain like I've seen tree diagram like those whole like the tree
Mhm.
diagrams.
Yeah,
Actually, let me see if I can find the one that I caught a glimpse of.
they fixed
Legend
it
of
with Zelda the Skyward Sword and its ending.
I heard about that.
What did you hear?
Yeah. I heard that it was that game was kind of meh.
I haven't actually. I've only played the beginning of it. I haven't played it all the way through. But that is chronologically the first Zelda game.
Right. I heard that. Yeah, here it is. It basically says Legend of the Gods, Hero of Time, and then it goes down Hero Successful, Child Era, Sacred Realm, blah blah blah, Twilight Era, or Ganondorf, or you have the Era Without the Hero, then you have Wind Waker, Four Swords, Tingle's Balloon Fight, Phantom Hourglass, which I have but I've never completed because I couldn't figure out this one puzzle, and then I
Uh,
lost the game.
can you
I,
post a
I
link
packed it away. Um,
just there in the
yeah.
chat?
Actually, I could just
Um,
do a screen share so that way everyone
yeah.
can see it.
hmm
All right, let's do this. I'm gonna try this different option. Aha. So yeah, we have the. Okay, make sure it works.
Is that a fan made one? Sorry, is that a fan
Yes,
made one or a?
yes. The hero is successful, and then we get like the first era, the creation of the goddess Hylia, the Sky era, Minish Cap, Four Swords. Then you have the Ocarina of Time. Then it branches off. You have the hero successful, or the hero is defeated. With the hero successful, you have Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Link's crossbow training, and the Four Swords plus the Hyrule Adventure. And then if you go then you go with Adult Era, Ganondorf Sealed. Then you have Hero without the Era without the hero. Then you have Wind Waker, Four Swords plus Navi Tracker, Tingle's Balloon Fight, Phantom Hourglass, The Spirit Tracks, Hershey Pick Tingle's Rosie, and then like those games. And then if the hero defeated, we go up to A Link to the Past, which had time travel, sort of.
hmm
Oracle of the Seasons and the Oracle of the Ages, Link's Awakening, the established link between worlds. Hero does not arrive. Hero arrives early. Hero arrives late. You have The Legend of Zelda. Ganon is revealed. Game & Watch. Adventure of Link. Then
Yeah.
you have The Legend of Zelda again. Then you have Legend of Zelda Game Watch. Legend of Zelda Animated Series. Comics. The Faces of Evil. Wanda Gamelon.
I
So yeah.
think I think you'll find that's legit. Because when they released Skyward Sword, they released like a limited edition book you could get with it
Mm-hmm.
that explained all of the timelines.
That being said, I have played Minish Cap all the way through.
What did you think?
I have my reservation. I've ended with the series. I love the Minish Cap.
Right. Why?
I think Minish. It's one of those because it has a villain that is actually I find intimidating. He
hmm
shows up, opens up the chest of all evils, and says, "Huh, this sword's functionally useless to me." Snaps it over his knee. He snaps the Master Sword over his knee and just says, "I'm going to kidnap the princess now because that's really the only thing that can benefit from this situation." Kidnaps the princess
Yeah.
and then basically screws off to wherever the hell to his palace, and then basically he becomes a Lovecraftian god.
hmm
You go to fight him, you fight him as a wizard, and he's like, "I will show you my real form." He's a giant eyeball with tentacles, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, if I had to fight that thing, I would legitimately be terrified. The gameplay mechanic to defeat him was actually really fun and interesting. It was all around just a really fun game, I found. Also, it wasn't Ganon,
Yeah.
so like same with Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass was a lot of fun. Well, most of that was basically just building a boat and sailing around the world. So
That was basically because Phantom Hourglass was a direct sequel to.
Wind Waker.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but what happened in the end of Skyward Sword, as is my understanding, the evil uh, wizard or wizardess sorceress
Yep.
they were trying to feed cursed Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. And it was a permanent curse that cannot be undone. In every incarnation to which they are ever born, Link will always be the hero of time, Zelda will always be the princess, and Ganondorf will always be the villain.
Hmm.
And that's in the ending. That's an unavoidable event. And that's how you get, because they're different realities,
Hmm.
as is my understanding, which makes sense.
I'm going to use the ending of this game to validate. We're going to use this to validate.
Why there is no specific straight timeline.
Yep.
But I thought that was a good way to explain it off. Maddie has got back, and I've given him the link, but he's still not here. So
All right.
I don't know if he's going to jump in at the last minute or. Excuse me.
Let's see.
How long have we been talking for? We started later than usual.
I think we've been going for almost an hour and 20 minutes.
There should be an actual timer in this app that goes from the second you hit start broadcast.
Actually, there is a way. To YouTube.
Oh, the actual hitting the play button on our live stream.
Oh, weird. Didn't show up.
1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds.
Huh. Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else dealing with time travel that isn't Back to the Future or the original novel or any of the other topics we've discussed.
There's a foreign film, and I'm just trying to find it. I can't remember what it is, but from what I understood of the preview, the guy goes back in time to solve the murder of his wife or something. And then he goes back in time again because he found out that he was the murderer of his own wife. So he goes back in time to stop himself. But then there's some other anomaly, so he has to go back in time a third time to stop himself from stopping himself, or something like that. So there's actually three of him in the one time trying to do things. I have the version I have is an English dub.
I do know there's 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, that had time travel in it, but I wouldn't really say it was a time travel movie.
Yeah. Come to think of it, there are very few movies that actually deal with straight up time travel, where time travel is the subject.
Yeah, like directly. Time Crimes. That's it.
Oh yeah, one we skipped because I haven't seen it. Time Cop.
Oh, that was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yep.
I almost feel like we could have said more on the subject of superheroes.
Yeah, well, we kind of got in some stuff.
But it's because there's just the two of us, which is why I was desperately trying to invite other people.
It is a bit more broad because you do, like, if with two people, you kind of run out because one person's seen this, another person's seen that, and then.
Oh, and I should say, as I said to you earlier before the broadcast started, the University of Queensland has recently discovered that very probably the grandfather paradox solves itself on a quantum level. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, because you were just talking about how we run out of juice when there's just two of us.
Yeah. Trying to think because I've seen way too many movies for my own good.
Have you ever sat down and watched a movie that you thought you hadn't seen and been like, I've seen this?
No, I've never had that really. Actually, I think that did happen once,
Hmm.
where I was watching a movie. I can't remember the name of it. I think I have had that happen where I'm just like, huh, this seems interesting. I'm like, wait a minute. I've seen this movie.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's only happened to me twice, but my sister, who watches way more movies than I do, is, she's done that a few times. She's even done it with books. She reads way more than I do.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a couple of TV shows. Like, I found a TV show on Netflix that I used to watch as a kid, and I was just like, no, this can't be what the show I'm thinking of. And I started up and I just went, oh my god, I remember watching this. Oh my god, I thought this was good.
Hmm.
Wow, I was an idiot.
Now, what show was that?
It was something to do with dinosaurs.
Oh,
This like
Dino
science.
Riders?
No, it wasn't dinosaurs. The scientist went back in time. Surprise.
Hmm.
And took dinosaurs and basically made them intelligent to fight crime in the future.
Was that a Whoopi Goldberg film?
No. No, that you're thinking of oh, that was another one the critic reviewed.
Right, Rex or something?
Oh, Theodore Rex.
Yeah.
Or oh wait, there was another time travel movie with dinosaurs we looked over. We're Back, a dinosaur story.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right
Uh
now.
this benevolent scientist goes back in time to basically bring
Yeah.
dinosaurs into the present and makes them like kind, benevolent creatures for children to enjoy.
Oh, right. So like pet dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an animated. Oh, I've seen the cover of this movie. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that,
It's one that I kind of intentionally avoided, just based on the look of the cover.
mhm.
Is it a Don Bluth film?
No, it's a Spielberg movie.
Uh, but did Don Bluth did the animation though?
Let me find out. It's actually supposedly based off a children's book. Let's see, directed by four different people.
Hmm. Sometimes
Nope.
animations have to do that though. Okay, not Don Bluth, Don
Yeah.
Bluth.
No, no. It was directed by Simon Wells,
Uh,
who I can actually make this work. Trust me, I know where I'm going with this. He was the director of Fievel Goes West. We're Back, Balto, The Prince of Egypt. He was also the director of The Time Machine,
the new one or the old one?
the new one. He is also the great great grandson of H.G. Wells. He is the great grandson of H.G. Wells, the author of the original Time Machine.
Well, there you go.
So,
Yes. The circle is now
there
complete.
actually, oh, I just remembered. I meant to say this earlier. There is actually there's a story with time travel in it,
Yeah.
but it's only hinted at. They never explicitly state whether or not it is actually true.
Uh, uh, yeah. Continue.
What happened? It's the book and film Sphere
Mm-hmm.
by Michael Crichton. The film was absolutely god awful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, say that again. Sorry.
This
I was
film was
looking at.
absolutely
Oh,
that's cool.
sorry. I was
The
looking at
film
the
was
Zelda
absolutely
timeline stuff.
the film was absolutely awful. It was okay, but it was just absolutely awful.
Mm-hmm.
That being said,
Mm.
there were some things about it that were okay. What's more important is the movie was actually really, really, really good. The book was actually really, really look. The book basically at one point they go into this ship they find at the bottom of the ocean, and they're just like, oh my god, and they can't believe it's the most advanced ship they've ever been in, and they walk up to the ship and they have like the whole thing outlined, and I'm gonna find a picture of it and I'll screen share it.
Maddie said he's going to sit this one out.
Okay. But they find I can't find it, so they find this ship at the bottom of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't believe it because they're just like, this proves beyond reasonable doubt that we quite possibly are not alone in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And this ship is 300 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh my god, 300 years old, and they went on this whole thing, and they get all these scientists together, and they go into the side of the ship, and they can't figure it out, and the guy swims up to the door, and just looks at it and just goes, you're not going to believe this. And they look at the door. And there is the door, right here. I can't find a picture of the ship. But then right next to the door,
Yeah.
there are two buttons. One says open, the other says close.
And?
In English, in plain English, it says open.
Oh.
They actually go into the ship and they're looking around. They're just like, what? They can't figure out because they're just like, what is this thing? What the hell is this ship?
Yeah.
And that's when they make this discovery. They bend down. They find like this crew members. They're all like skeletons at this point.
Oh,
look like they've been murdered.
Is this the Sphere?
Yes, the Sphere.
Yeah, it was on telly the other night.
Yeah. And the guy picks up and he goes. And the guy picks up a Coke can.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that's what it was. The ship traveled back, wound up in a wormhole, and traveled back in the past and crashed on primitive Earth.
Yeah.
Then again, the book really had nothing to do with that, so.
Oh, so how different was the book?
The book actually had a lot more psychological horror. A lot more like tension.
Yeah, I thought that movie was not terrible. I didn't think it was too good. Given the actors that were in it, I expected better.
Same here. Do I own it on VHS? Yes, I do. I have a lot of movies I'm not proud of.
I never really got into the whole buying of movies on VHS. I was more into anime at the time, but then DVDs came out, these magical discs with special features. Then I really started buying anything and everything, really.
Yeah. There wasn't it. I guess I could bring that anime up.
Mm.
Yeah, the one anime that has to do with time travel.
Madazoska Boska.
Oh yeah, Madoka Magica.
Yeah, have you seen the girl who leapt through time?
No, I want to really badly though. I heard it's quite good.
It is, and there's a live action. That book is it's based on a book from 1974.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a live-action movie that came out, I think, last year or in 2012, and it is very much a Japanese Back to the Future, the live-action version. The anime is nothing like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But it's hinted at in the anime that the girl's auntie is the character from the book.
Interesting.
So how is time travel handled in Madoka Magica?
In Madoka Magica, there's a character named Halmara who has the ability to stop time.
Mm-hmm.
And she uses that to basically kill the enemies, which I'm not going to say a whole lot because I recommend anyone watching this, if you have not seen Madoka Magica, even if you hate anime, watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes the magical girl genre of anime
Mm-hmm.
and turns it into a Faustian contract with the devil.
Right.
So that's not the only reason why it's good. The characters are compelling, the story is beautifully written, the animation is quite excellent. That being stated, there is a part where the character basically, in the first timeline, all of her friends get killed.
Okay.
So she sort of realizes, maybe if I can use my powers to stop time, I could actually cause time to go in reverse. So she does. Resets the timeline. Tries again. Fails.
Ooh.
Tries again. Fails.
Mm-hmm.
Tries again. She's done this so many times that, in fact, as she explains it to the primary antagonist of the show, as she's explaining why she did this, he just says, "You don't realize what you've done. You've traveled back in time because of your one friend, to try and save her, because in every outcome she dies. And in you trying to save her, you've actually made her the center of this universe's fate."
Oh, right.
She is the single most important figure in this universe. If basically the whole part of the premise is, and this is spoiler territory, is that people become witches, and that magical girls fight witches.
Mm-hmm.
That being stated, there is a part in the anime in the 8th episode where the cute little rat thing looks right at the screen and just says, isn't it only logical that those who are called magical girls would inevitably become witches?
No.
And it basically, and the whole reason he's doing this, entropy.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to avoid the heat death of the universe.
Yep.
So, that being stated, he basically points out to her, when she becomes a witch, she'll become so powerful, she'll destroy all life on Earth. And then continue to destroy all life in the universe.
Yep.
You screwed up. So, long story short, they do end up using time travel in the very end, because Madoka, she decides to become a magical girl, and she makes her wish.
Mm-hmm.
And that wish is, for anyone who has not seen this and watching this, pause the video, skip like ahead a minute. She says, I wish to go back and stop witches from ever existing. And basically the cute little rat thing looks and just says, you don't realize what she's done. She's resetting the entire universe. So basically, the entire universe is reset.
Yep.
And it's just like, wow.
Another time travel character, also linking back to superheroes, from the live-action TV series Heroes.
Yes, Hiro Nakamura.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who had... His ability was to bend space and time, so he could stop time, speed it up, slow it down, fast forward, time travel.
Yep.
And all these sorts of things. And the first season of that show was brilliant. The rest was just terrible. And there's a 13-episode series coming next year. So I think
Right,
to wrap
Heroes.
everything up. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be called the Heroes Unlimited or Heroes something. Maybe just Heroes.
Heroes Reborn, I think.
Yes, that would be it.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath.
Well, I'm not holding my breath, but I'm still going to watch it.
Oh yeah.
Just, I hope they get at least some of the original cast back. Apparently, no one's been asked yet, but I think they're still in the planning stages of it.
Ah.
I feel like we've been talking for an hour and a half, basically. Do you want to call it quits there?
Yeah, I guess we can. I guess we've kind of run out of time with time travel.
Run out of time with time travel, and we sort of talked about superheroes a little bit, time travel more so, and I think next week robots. Something tells me we'll all have a lot more to say on the topic of robots, all four of us.
Oh yes, especially when you bring in like artificial intelligences and
Yes, yeah,
stuff like that. So many more movies and TV shows having to do with robots.
The new one, Extant, with Halle Berry. Have you been watching it?
I've only seen one episode, and I thought it was okay.
It's better. Are you watching it in such a way that it has advertisements?
Yep.
It's better if you can acquire it. No ads. It comes across much more cinematically without ads for some reason. It's better. Somehow the ads make it a less likable show.
Oh, yeah, I might watch it. Oh, I just remembered there was one other time travel thing.
Which is?
Stephen King's The Langoliers.
Ah, the 15-minute. There's only 15 minutes of time exists.
No, you can't travel back in time because time is consistently being consumed.
Yeah.
The book was a lot better. I'm just going to put that out there. The book was far better.
Yeah, I saw the mini-series. It kind of put me off. Sometimes you see like a Jurassic Park, I think, oh, hang on, I'd like to read the book. The Langoliers put me off wanting to read the book.
The book, I'll say, I read the book. The book is so much better.
But I've heard Stephen King is very wordy.
He is. He is very wordy. If you do read anything by him, I recommend, if you haven't read these, Eyes of the Dragon, which is an adult fantasy novel he did, which is quite good. Cujo, which is quite good. Langoliers, which is a short story, and it's in an anthology called Four Past Midnight, it's quite good.
Yep.
Any of his collections of short stories, because his short stories are fantastic.
Oh, okay. I'll look into his...
Misery.
Which became a full movie. But I think it's better to base a movie on a short story, because you base it on a full, big, thick book, you need multiple films, and no one can take out just the right things. Because when people see a book turned into a movie, what they want to see is what they read on the screen, not that director's interpretation
of what's on the screen.
On the screen, exactly. So, apology to our one viewer who just arrived, because we're just about to close down shop. We've been talking for about 90 minutes. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube when we're done here, all 1.5 hours of it. So, thank you very much for your viewership. I'm Ian. That's Zach. And we'll see you next week with a much better topic. Well, a topic that I think all four of us will be able to talk more about, and that is robots. So, see you next week for robots. So, thank you very much, and bye-bye to our one viewer.